This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. New Jersey's community colleges, aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 66 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Minding Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, if you've got a challenging workplace, business, or family dispute and want to avoid the cost and wait time of litigation, mediation just might be a great option for you. And here to talk about the many benefits of mediation in all walks of life are Margie Echevarria and Bruce Matez from the New Jersey Association of Professional Mediators. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I have been chomping at the bit for this conversation, so I'm very glad you're here. Before we talk about mediation itself, talk about what NJAPM is and does.
Well, the New Jersey Association of Professional Mediators has been in New Jersey for more than 30 years, and its mission is to educate the public about mediation. In addition to that, it handles the training of new mediators. It also ensures that the mediators that pass the qualifications to be a mediator in New Jersey also maintain their qualifications and standards. So we do that by periodic conferences. We celebrate 2 conferences a year, the fall and spring conference, and we also have other mediums like peer groups and special interest group meetings via Zoom that keep our members abreast of changes and assist them with their skills.
How does mediation help in a business dispute?
So any type of business dispute, if you have a dispute between employees and employers, anything like that can be mediated instead of litigating through the court system. Try to help people resolve their issues in a less formal, more amicable way, and obviously much less, much more cost effective, much less in terms of legal fees and things like that.
What about
and I really want to jump in on that question because as I walked into this building, I saw the mission of the NJBIA, competitive excellence and improve excellence, improve success of businesses, of small and medium-sized businesses in New Jersey. One thing that our audience should be aware of is that not only on the national level, but in New Jersey as well, the majority of the business economy, if you will, is populated by small and medium-sized businesses. They, in fact, in New Jersey, hire 50% of the employees that are employed in New Jersey. They're a real engine in our economy. So we, in terms of what I said earlier about our mission to educate the public and promote mediation as a dispute resolution method, are focused on small business. We've written articles about it, as you know, in New Jersey Business. I've written articles for the Hispanic National Bar Association and other organizations on the importance of small businesses engaging in mediation. Why? I'll give you 2 reasons. Think about this. Businesses controlling their legal costs, planning ahead by having these provisions in their contracts, manage their legal costs down the road. They don't have to worry when a supplier, a contractor, a customer sues them in court about what they're going to do. They already know what they're going to do. They have mediation clauses in their contracts. Secondly, a small business or a medium-sized business that organizes itself in advance and plans ahead for legal costs that are inevitable when you are in business, The legal dispute is an inevitable occurrence, presents a better profile to their insurers. Who, all of these small businesses and medium-sized businesses have to have some types of insurance. In fact, the Consumer Fraud Act requires that small business have insurance, So here they are, planning ahead. They have these mediation clauses in their contracts, and as a result, they present a better profile, a managed profile for their potential broker to offer them insurance. So for a variety of reasons, having a small business and medium-sized businesses thinking about mediation and incorporating it as a dispute resolution method in their management of their businesses is a smart thing. That's what big business does.
Right. So when you mentioned the ADR component in a contract, forgive me for not knowing this, but is that in an employee contract too, or is it an employer contract?
It could be in an employee contract. It could be in the supplier contract. It could be in the vendor contract.
Okay.
Think about the various types of businesses, health businesses, construction business.
Yeah.
Construction needs insurance of all kinds because of safety, because of training of employees, because of potential accidents. They need insurance, right? So it's important for them to plan ahead, and they, as I said before, they make themselves a more appealing candidate for insurance when they manage their legal costs. If even on the health side, think about medical malpractice, suppliers as well, property management because they're in locations where they rent potentially their space.
Right.
Having mediation clauses with their suppliers in those various circumstances also presents them as a sophisticated business person because they've planned for every contingency.
Absolutely.
They've thought ahead.
So how does a mediator get involved on two sides of a case? Is it something the court hands down? Is this something a business and somebody who they're disagreeing with proactively seek out a mediator? How does the process work?
You can be assigned a mediator through the court annexed program.
Okay.
And all the 50 states in the United States have court annexed programs. The federal courts have court annexed programs, mediation and arbitration programs. So you can be assigned by the court to handle a case based on your self-described competencies. You can go to newjerseycourts.gov, look up mediator roster, and you'll see mediators in every county in the 17 counties of the United States, of New Jersey.
21 counties, right?
Or 21 counties of New Jersey,
Right.
and find a mediator that specializes in insurance, that specializes in estates, that specializes in elder law, that specializes in divorce, like Bruce does.
Right.
So whatever expertise you're looking for, you'll find a mediator that fits that role.
Okay. What about, I'm sorry, Bruce, but we're talking logistically, once a mediation occurs, how does it work? Is it two opposing sides in two different rooms with their arms folded and they're holding their breath, or is it done remotely? How does the process work?
I think a lot of that depends on what stage it's in, and are there lawyers involved? If there's lawyers involved, and the mediator in particular, and what their style is. Some mediators will do that type of shuttle mediation where they'll keep the party and their attorney or the parties in separate rooms, and the mediator will go back and forth. And some mediators will do it in joint sessions where everybody's together. That's typically the way that I do them because I want people to hear from each other where they're coming from. I want to try to get people to understand where the other side is coming from, what their issues are, why they believe in why it should be a certain resolution or the underlying issues. And if I can get people to start listening to each other, often it's easier to try to get them to come together. It also, a lot of what you asked Margie also just depends on what stage their dispute is in. If it's in the beginning stages, people might want to try to hire a mediator privately without even getting into the court.
Got it.
Try to get it resolved before litigation starts, before somebody files a lawsuit. And then there are lots of times where employment agreements, business agreements and things have arbitration clauses where people are forced to go into arbitration before they even litigate through the court system. So mediation might be a step prior to arbitration to see if we can get everybody together in one room and try to work through the issues and resolve it.
I'm also wondering, as you're describing that scenario, if there's ever been a time where there was just a misunderstanding and it just stopped right there. We don't need this. Oh, I didn't understand this the first time. It never happens like that?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Every once in a
Never
while.
happened to me.
I think every once in a while you do get that. I mean, I've heard some of my colleagues talk about they've been in the middle of a mediation and realized that all that somebody really wants is an apology. And once that apology comes through, it all comes together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, generally I hear that kind of thing in employment disputes where there's an employer and employee who have a dispute over something that happened, and maybe the employee just wants to be apologized for how they were treated or something that happened. And once that apology comes through, it's amazing sometimes how things will just sort of fit together.
Right. We talked earlier about the term resolution versus winning and losing. What's the difference in mediation?
It's as stark as day and night. When you go into court, our courts are set up for an adversarial process. There's a winner and there's a loser.
Right.
As opposed to mediation, which is a self-determination process, where both parties come in with the idea that they're going to resolve this problem to the best of their ability and with everyone winning, so to speak, right? Because they're the architects, they're the authors of the resolution. So they have to be satisfied in the end with that ending, if you will. Right. So there's no winner and losers. It's more win-win in mediation and as opposed to litigation.
Got it. So Bruce, is this a situation where, mediation helps because people need to have a relationship once a dispute is resolved?
So the main focus of my practice is divorce and family law, and that is exactly one of the reasons why mediation, I think, is a better means of people resolving their disputes than using the court system.
Right.
Because if people have children, they have a relationship for the rest of their lives. They may be getting divorced, but they're going to have to raise their children together, and even if their children are adults, they have holidays and graduations and all kinds of other things, and potentially grandchildren. That relationship is going to be there for the rest of their lives. So mediation is a way to help people preserve that type of a relationship going forward. Same is true for people who were never married, who have kids. They still have to raise their kids together. Right. So, I think it's a key component to why mediation is so important in the divorce and family law setting. In the civil setting, you could have people in a workplace, employees, coworkers who have a dispute over something and they still have to work together. You could have partners who are trying to figure out a way to resolve things in their business together, who might still want to have a relationship. You might have family members who have a family business who still have to have a family relationship after their business breaks up and things like that. So there's all kinds of ways for people to maintain relationships beyond their disputes.
Right. All right, so we're talking about a lot of the positives about mediation. Is there any downside to it at all?
I personally feel that there are no downsides to mediation, because in the process of mediation, both counsel and their parties and their clients learn more about the case. And so if the case does not settle that particular day, as they continue to go forward with their case in court, they'll find another opportunity to settle that case. And why do I know that's true? Because you can look at the statistics in New Jersey and anywhere. 99% of the cases settle. So they don't settle maybe on the courthouse steps or in the mediation process, but at some point before the case is finally over, it gets settled. So there are really no downsides to the mediation process.
And I was going to say, before we get to Bruce here, there was some statistics on your website. It came from njcourts.gov. 2% of federal and state cases reach trial. 80% of cases voluntarily submitted to mediation are resolved. So that's all you need to know, right?
That's right.
It's a big statistic. If you think about it, I say to people all the time, the odds are in your favor. In the divorce and family law, the statistics are the same. Divorce in particular, the statistics are about less than 2% of the cases get tried to conclusion. So it's just a matter of how are they going to settle it? Is it going to be through negotiations by lawyers? Is it going to be just the two people sitting down at a table together and resolving it between them? negotiating? Is it going to be with some judge's input at some point during the process through intensive settlement conferences and things like that with the court? Or is it going to be through mediation, arbitration, or some other means of alternative dispute resolution?
Is there are these legally binding, these resolutions, I guess? So if somebody reneges on an agreement, could you take that to court?
No.
Sorry.
But
they are legal. They are legally binding in New Jersey.
Right.
In New Jersey, because of case law, the mediators all know that the settlement is not the end of the resolution unless they have a signed agreement.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Even I do a lot of Zoom mediations, and what I ensure is that I send an email. Because if we don't do it with a piece of paper, we do it via email. And I get their confirmation from each side. So I have a record, I have a document, because that's required in New Jersey. So that's binding. Of course, anyone can use the courts for whatever purpose that they have. But the mediation, in New Jersey and elsewhere, really, because no mediator, I mediate in New York as well, no mediator is going to work hard to get the parties to resolve their dispute and then not make sure that they have some document that shows that they've resolved their dispute, right?
Right.
So the verbal agreement is not binding. It's the written signed agreement that's binding. That's the important distinction that I think people need to know and understand. The benefit of mediation is that it's a privileged and confidential process. So nothing that's said, nothing that happens in mediation can be disclosed to the court. That's the privilege, and the confidentiality is that it's nothing that's said or exchanged in the mediation process should be disclosed to other people. That protects that privacy, and I think it gives people a real sense of comfort to know what happens in mediation stays in mediation.
Right.
And that's important with regard to divorce, right? That it's
Very, yes.
With that confidentiality aspect, which is a key aspect of mediation. But think about it, it's also a very important element for the business people. Reputation-wise.
Sure.
That's why
It's a
big
great
business.
point, Margie.
That's why big business leans towards mediation and arbitration, because there's no record. It's confidential. The resolution, how the case was finally resolved, and their reputation is retained intact.
Okay. Well, this has been fascinating. I have one last question for both of you guys. And it's kind of a personal, professional one, right? What kind of personality do you need to be a good mediator? And what drew you to this type of work? Do you need to live in Switzerland in order for this to happen? I mean, what makes it for you?
Patience. Patience is a key attribute of mediators. You are working with the individuals involved in a mediation for a very long time. You start out, whether you are privately assigned the mediation or you're assigned by the court or it comes through, I'm on the roster of the American Arbitration Association, which also has a mediation program. You're assigned through them. You begin to talk to these clients early on, learning what the dispute is about, reaching out to them, having ex-parte conferences, obtaining mediation statements, having more ex-parte conferences, telephone conferences with them, and then you come to the mediation. So it's not a short process. But typically, the resolution is acquired in one day.
Right.
So, it's cost effective.
Yes.
Very cost effective.
The old joke is, what's a mediator's favorite food? Which is anything that's properly processed. Is that How about for you, Bruce? What got you?
I would agree with Margie on that. I think patience is key. I like to call myself a peacemaker. I want to help people find peace. Find peaceful resolutions to their disputes and have peace in their lives. In my world, divorce and family law, it's a problem because people, when they get divorced or they have family law issues, tend to not have peace in their lives, even after a resolution. They tear each other apart in court pleadings. People will say all kinds of awful things about each other to get what they want from a judge. And they will often say those kind of things about each other in mediation, but the mediation process can help people find a way to keep that peace and to have some joy and peace in their lives going forward, and especially for their kids and their grandchildren and things like that. So I also think just having a sense of not feeling like you are the person who has all the right answers. Somebody who can be creative in suggesting solutions to people that might help them resolve things in a way that's different than maybe the court system is going to be able to afford them, and really helping people.
Well, you guys definitely gave us an education here today. I want to thank you both for being here. This is Margie Echevarria and Bruce Matez from the New Jersey Association of Professional Mediators. You want to find out more, you want to go to njapm.org. Folks, thanks so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be back right after these words.
Calm before the storm? No, thank you. This is Jim's time to shine. And Mike's. And Jennifer's. Helmets? Check. Drones? Check. Checking that thing we just checked? Double check. We ain't got time to chill. We're out here driving this thing. This is when we get to work. To keep you connected. No matter what. Connect before the storm. Change how we weather them. Connecting changes everything. AT&T.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Mind Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, while there's growing evidence that artificial intelligence can help energy transformation, most policymakers or industry professionals aren't aware of how this technology can actually help. But at NJBIA's recently held 4th Annual Energy Conference, a panel discussed how AI can help change the energy world. Have a look.
This morning, I had visits from 2 Senate staffs, Senator Booker's staff, Senator Heinrich's staff, to talk about AI to accelerate the fusion program forward in time. There's tremendous interest in AI for science, and it's been helped a lot by the fact that the Nobel Prizes in chemistry and physics this year have both been awarded for AI. The physics prize went to Jeff Hinton for the fundamental algorithm that allows us to optimize extremely fast. And John Hopfield, who was a professor at Princeton, went away when I was a graduate student at Princeton, and so I didn't get taught by him. And then he's back at Princeton these days for the early neural networks, which are the power behind ChatGPT, etc. at that time. So it was the fundamental work. But more interesting in some ways is the Chemistry Nobel Prize this year, which is going to Demis Hassabis, John Jumper, and David Baker. This is for solving the protein folding problem. Inside your body are all these folded proteins, and the way they fold determines their functionality inside your body. And when, 20 years ago, people said, oh, that's an impossible problem because there's far too many combinations of folding that you can do. But this group of people, Demis and his team at DeepMind in London, and David Baker, who headed the team collecting all the data from all the national lab synchrotrons, Brookhaven, Lawrence Berkeley Lab, Argonne National Lab, where they had measured the structures of proteins. And they taught the AI to learn from this and predict the structure of folded proteins. This is incredibly important for medical science, etc. It only happened in the last decade. Normally Nobel Prizes happen sort of 50 years after the event, but this one happened that quickly. And it just shows that AI is actually able to solve problems we're not able to solve. Mm-hmm. So our interest in our lab is, can we get AI to accelerate the development of fusion energy? Because fusion energy is really the perfect way to make energy, except one thing, we really don't know how to do it yet. Apart from that, it's perfect.
How can AI-driven energy optimization provide a competitive advantage for businesses aiming to meet their net zero targets?
One thing we can all agree on is that sustainability data is complex. Often in companies, it's located in silos, it's kind of disparate, collecting it is challenging, you need to staff up, put in the resources to have that. And there are a number of efficiencies that can be gained by leveraging tools that are on the cloud that have an AI an ability from machine learning to consolidate the data from disparate sources, put it into a format that if you are filing either a voluntary sustainability report or you're preparing for a mandatory filing requirement, be it preparation for eventual implementation of the SEC rule, or you're reporting under European standards, or you have operations in California, that you're going to need to have an ability to prepare. I think leveraging an AI technology that allows you to consolidate that data and prepare to report on your sustainability metrics will make you more competitive as a company, but will also enable you to have visibility and efficiencies that you can make within your own operations because you have access to all that data. At Amazon, yes, AI has been talked about in increasing amounts over the past couple of years, but we've been investing in this technology for over 2 decades, looking at our internal efficiencies. And we know that that investment in large language models, machine learning, and AI can drive internal efficiencies. And I think that customers who turn to use this technology themselves can also gain many of those benefits for their own sustainability, carbon emissions abilities.
Look, Diana and Stephen have covered a lot of great insights. I just want to add that there's 2 folds of solution. One is keep doing what we're doing. So if we, in the past, computing, a boom of computing has been there for 40 years maybe. Like if we use the computers we built 20 years ago to do computing we do now, we probably have to burn 1,000 times more energy. So there's always a demand for more computing, and electrical engineers, computer scientists are working hard to try to drive down the energy cost of every bits that we're doing. So we have to keep doing what we're doing, but of course there are scientific limits. Moore's law is getting close to the end, then getting close to the end, so we need to explore new mechanisms of doing computing. But I'm optimistic because across the full stack, all the way down to physics and up to the algorithms, there are a lot of rooms for us to explore. How do we make, for example, transformers? I'm talking about not the physical transformer, the transformer for the neural networks. Not every neural network has to use transformer. There are new algorithms that we can use to drive ChatGPT. So that's sort of what we have to do, keep investing on energy efficient computing, keep investing on better algorithms and computer science. The other fold, the other opportunity is to embrace the new opportunities that artificial intelligence open up to us. For example, potentially AI can really make fusion close to real, and that's going to what PPPL is doing. Potentially AI can help us to solve greatly reduced energy consumption of industrial processes like plasma, like semiconductor manufacturing. So I guess we just have to keep our eyes open and leverage the new opportunities that AI brings to us.
And one of the questions I think that a lot of people in the audience may have is, speaking a little bit to what you just talked about, Diana, how can businesses start taking advantage of AI? Like where can they get started if they want to integrate this into their business?
Yeah. So I think I touched a bit on that, but one point that I did want to talk to is kind of the investment and the partnership with scale-ups and other tech firms who are looking at and building a lot of developments in the clean energy space. 2 initiatives that we have are one funded through the Climate Pledge Fund that we are co-founding members of, which puts together $2 billion of seed capital to help innovators who are actively looking for new technologies that leverage AI or others to help bring new technologies that will help us as a company, but ultimately all of those in the economy who are looking to incorporate new technologies into their operations. We also have a clean tech accelerator who is similarly looking to scale up a lot of these technologies. And many of them are leveraging data that is open source, large language models that we have made public for use by companies, academic institutions, and governments to help build new tools, new AI models that can largely benefit a society who's focused on driving decarbonization.
All right. Thanks to all that attended NJBIA's 4th Annual Energy Conference, and thank you for joining us on NJBIA's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.